That brings me to the youngest of you three, my fellow Aquarian. By the way, you have your mom, your sister-in-law, and your better half looking at you, so you're being watched. And of course, sir and your brothers. I won't say youth icon, but you're the youth leader, right? You're pretty much happening in India, right? And you're pushing YY, right? Do I say the YY man? Or you're pushing YY in India. You're someone the kids adore, and have taken on the might of Maggie, right? Tell us all you can about YY. How and when did it start? Of course, your brother's also into it, but let me hear it from you.
Sure. So let me first of all thank you for having us here.
Pleasure.
This will go down so beautifully in the memory lane for three reasons. Number one is we are sitting right here in Jhunjhunu, which is like calling of the roots, so this is where it all began. Number two is, obviously they've also mentioned, but it's the first time where four of us have actually been on the same platform with you. The third thing, which is a telepathy, but our wives also here, and our mother, the way she is listening to us so carefully, I'm sure she is also having that sense of pride that we've probably done something worthwhile. So that takes care of the compliments. Coming to the YY question, certainly the Brahma or the creator of YY sitting right here. So there is no way that I could ever be the face of YY, because YY is something which is so emotionally close to him, probably closer than even the farm.
True.
So his passion, his vision towards probably making CG Corp Global a true multinational actually began from YY. And the trajectory and the path which we are treading is also in that direction. So in a very humble way, you can probably say that I'm making a little presence felt with the youth, because that's the target audience I sort of cater to. And those are the people who have actually been the brand ambassadors ever since. All of us went to boarding school. You can ask Samay, also your son, how much of adoration he himself has for YY. So since
I pick up the rappers every morning, because he's somebody who's nocturnal, so 2 o'clock he gets up and he chews on it.
Exactly. So you can imagine the madness which people probably have for YY. So similarly, I'm sure we used to do the same thing when we were in boarding school. So it's a very unique proposition. It's a very unique case study how YY has evolved in India about 35 years back?
Yep.
It's been about 35 years. So
that's long.
That's a long time. I mean, since the time we went to boarding school, for us, YY used to be like a currency for us. To get our stuff around in school, when we used to barter with YY, I'm sure we could get a lot of work done. So keeping all these little memories in mind, we could never ever realize that YY at some point will scale such heights in India and globally. Touch wood. Yeah. And this is something where I have recently taken over, where my elder brother Nirvana used to look after it. I was in Dubai. That's where I started my career in the real estate business. So we had pretty much finished our projects, and I was looking at relocating to a newer base, and I thought India could be where I could probably fit in, given obviously my entire education was in Dehradun, and my friend circle obviously revolved around India. So I didn't realize that India could so naturally fit into my scheme of things, my probably thought process, and I would be, let's say, part of the YY family here, since there was so much of business which was probably growing in Nepal. It was my father's decision as well that I could probably step into the YY shoes. So that's how my journey began in the world of YY, in India and outside India, where we are present in Bangladesh, Serbia, and Kazakhstan. So these are the units, countries where we have our units, and we're looking at.
So that's part of my second question. So I mean, the brand. Brands are like, they have personalities like human beings, right? Dependable, right? Pure, enjoyable. So I mean, YY has its own strengths. So it's only natural for you to, of course, you've spoken about the countries where you've gone to, which was going to be my next question. Since you've already answered it, tell me, how are you extending the portfolio? I've tasted some of the samples,
Right.
but walk your audience through that.
Okay, so let me talk about India, what we are doing. Given the fact that we've focused in probably building YY for so many years, time has come for us to obviously extend the YY brand, which we feel that we've made a strong brand in India. Because when we talk about the noodle industry, which is a high growth industry, it's us and the other two brands, which is Nestle and ITC. It's basically these three brands which have stood the test of time. So time has come for us also to extend the brand into newer territories. So the ones which you're talking about is the entire sauces range, which we've come up with, and it's in the market now. We are adding more variants in that. And apart from that, there are multiple categories which are NPD, which is the new product development, they are working on, which we feel that by the end of this year, you will see multiple categories of the YY brand.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
So tell me more about your manufacturing. How many operations do you have?
So we are at the moment in 7 locations with about 11 plants. By the end of this year, we are anticipating to add on further capacities and location as well. Tell
us the locations.
So the next one will probably be West Bengal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, West Bengal. And
very interesting.
We've just added capacities in Bihar. Our next capacity expansion is going to be.
So just list me the manufacturing locations.
So we are in Sikkim, Silchar, Guwahati, then Chittoor, Purnia, Rudrapur, and Rupangarh in Rajasthan.
And which is your biggest?
Northeast, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent.
So there we've.
So that's a great investment, and it's a very nice product. And I've seen my kids have it raw.
Right. It's quite unique.
Which is very unique.
Yeah.
So Varun, anything more from your FMC stable in Nepal, Varun and Nirvan, that you may get into India? Maybe beverages or something?
So in India, we are, let's say, working on something interesting, which my father also sort of hinted. So
mentioned.
We are looking at M&A opportunities, and not just M&A, we're looking at a couple of M&A opportunities. So inorganic growth is something which we are certainly looking at to take the whole company to a newer level.
Excellent. So that's a very good interaction that I've had, may I say, with the 4 young men, right? Binodji is driven. He is high on passion, extremely high on energy. Though he's like a father to all of us. Don't go by my graying beard. That's premature. Binodji, I'm going to wrap this up. Tell me, when not at work, how do you unwind, given your beautiful family, philanthropy, and your wonderful, wonderful daughter-in-laws and grandchildren? And of course, Mrs. Chaudhary, what about your interests and all, which I'll come to?
Well, life is all about balance. This is something which I realized long ago, luckily. There is nothing called tomorrow. You don't park things thinking that, okay, when I have time, I will do this. I mean, you have to live life, to live life full, complete, you got to allocate your time to yourself, to your family, to the society, to the social circle, your immediate circle, like friends and associates. And if you are a public person, for your public life, and most importantly, to your professional life. There is nothing called a trade-off between one to another, okay? And when from the other perspective, life needs to be balanced from a spiritual as well as a professional perspective. I think ever since I started walking on the spiritual journey, and we are blessed to have our Guru, Sri Ravi Shankar Ji. Our lives have changed, and I think that particular element of emptiness that existed in the life was so beautifully wrapped up that we don't miss anything. I think I can...
I've personally watched the change, and I've been through Bharatpur and your...
Been to the Sri Sri Center,
yes,
you've seen
absolutely.
the Sashwadham.
And the Gurukul.
And the Gurukul. So,
Yeah.
so I think life is really, you know, it's all up to you. I mean, you can make the life meaningful and fulfilling by taking all these steps, and still you will have plenty of time for you to do what you want to do. It's all about time management.
Excellent. So that brings me to this interesting little thought that I had. You spoke about movies, Mumbai, Bombay, as it was then. Your favorite movie?
I used to be a great fan of Devanand. Think of any Devanand movies and I'll still go, you know,
Yeah.
I go back to the memories. I think of late I've been watching a lot of Netflix, like any one of us.
Any favorite movie and a favorite actor from yesteryears and now?
My wife sometimes, you know, texts me to watch movie in a theater, which is a great experience. Sadly, because of Corona, that has not happened for about a year. You know, I think I'm trying to think which is the last movie that I saw and truly enjoyed. I think it was one of those
Would you want to prompt?
epic. तो छ नि उसको के अरे होइन होइन वो चाहिँ तेरी Padmavat.
Padmavat. Okay.
Padmavat.
Ah, there you are. That's pretty nice.
That's a movie I thoroughly enjoyed. You
Very
know,
nice.
Great.
How about Guide?
Guide was a fantastic. It's always.
It's a classic.
Yeah, recently, you're right, absolutely. You know, I had, during the COVID, during the isolation time in COVID, and first time since you mentioned about Shashwadham and our industrial park, we all, the entire family, we were all there for a couple of months, something which we've never done. You know, I used to spend about 20 days
We
a month
spoke while you were there.
traveling, right? I spoke there, even released my song, which I had recorded in Turkey.
Which is my next question.
Yes. So, you know, I think one of the best things that Corona has done is to bring the family together and make them so close.
Absolutely.
I think this is another thing, this is another dimension of life which was somewhere missing because of too much of travel. I think Corona taught us a very important lesson that you don't have to rush, you don't have to run. You can do it technically, digitally. I'd never used, you know, to be candid, I'd never used Zoom. I'd never used Zoom before Corona.
Though not very good for Rahul.
Yeah.
He wants people traveling and staying in hotels.
I know, but so I think life is post-Corona, the new life.
I'm pulling you back. Singing. Which singer, which song?
Kishore Kumar used to be my favorite singer.
Which song?
No question about it.
Which song would you pick?
Oh, all, you know, that there was a phase when for about 20 years, you know, every song of Kishore Kumar was something which I used to remember by heart.
And would you sing?
I used to sing all of them, you know, that you mentioned about Guide, Amar Prem, Aradhna, and you know, you can go
it's
on
endless.
and on. Endless.
So, some extracurricular activities. I know about your golfing.
Yeah, I picked up golf now. I mean, I've been playing off and on, but I'm playing little more serious golf. I picked up trekking, something which I wish I started long ago. You know, amazing journey. It is probably the most holistic form of mental, physical, spiritual exercise that you can get into.
I
it
couldn't
truly
agree
touches
more.
your soul.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and I think Nepal is blessed with that. So I think there is plenty to be done.
Excellent.
And I'm enjoying every moment of it.
Touch wood. So I'm now going to come to you boys, right? Boys? Doskos, not just siblings, with hardly many years separating you three. All three of you went to the Tony Doon School. It would be good to extract a bit from you Dosko brothers. Who do I start with first? Any of you, it's your call. Are you more friends than brothers? Or more brothers than friends?
Do you want to take that?
Sure, I think it's firstly, I mean, I had the opportunity of also finishing my schooling at Harrow,
Yeah.
you know, where Winston Churchill, Jawaharlal Nehru also went. So
Oh, yeah?
going to a school where Rajiv Gandhi went to, Jawaharlal Nehru was a good experience, but obviously consider myself a DOSCO as well. I think we have a beautiful relationship with each other where there's a very thin line which exists, which when we play the brotherly, where we wear the brother's hat, you know, where each of us get that that experience or that lesson learning that an elder brother might have or another brother might have, irrespective of the age, and we sort of have that deep trust in each other that you know, a brother would think the best for the another brother.
That augurs so well.
Yeah, that's what I
so
think my father also meant by us being the support for each other. Obviously, because our ages are not too far away, at least especially between Rahul and me, we are a lot like friends. But even with Varun now, I think the way he is evolved and as a human being, you know, he's.
So if I was to
That's my
get
my
you people
personal
to say one-word descriptions, Varun about Rahul and Nirvan, Nirvan about Rahul and Varun, Rahul about Nirvan and Varun. Let's start with
Let's
Nirvan.
start with Varun this time.
Let's start with Varun.
Let's start with Rahul this time.
नहीं bolo yaar.
Okay, I'll start.
हाँ, there you are.
If it's just one word
For Varun
to
and
describe
one for
Varun,
Nirvan.
I would say Varun is very street smart. I think, I mean,
Hindi equivalent being
Hindi equivalent to
Jugadu. Okay.
you got in the sense in a very good way.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like,
Positive.
I think my father also touched upon that. I
Absolutely.
mean, he's a person who will be able to find a solution to
And fix
any
it.
problem and fix it. So that's what street
All right.
smart comes from that. And Nirvan, I would say, I always think he's like an artist, you know, because he's really, really creative, and he's very emotional. Also, and creativity comes from business, and also from the point of view of thoughtfulness from every aspect. So I think artist probably defines Nirvan from my perspective.
All right. So there's only one left out of them. That's Rahul. Who's going to say about him?
Okay, so let me go in. While we were in school, Rahul got this award called the Gentleman Sportsman of the Year. So I think he's been a sportsman on field and off field. When I say off field, even with us, he's always had that sportsman spirit, be it in the personal touch which he gives. I mean, I'm the youngest one, so naturally, you know, I'll get the soft side. So he's always been that very composed, you know, full of patience.
I couldn't agree more.
You know, full of patience and giving that tender care to me as a little brother. I don't know his equation with him. I'm sure, you know, it's also in the same equation. So, but this is what I have to say about him. I'm quite surprised when Nirvan said that both of them now of late have become quite close, obviously. But at one point, both of us used to be inseparable.
Still are, I guess.
Still,
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people mistake the two of us
you know,
in a sense.
It's so nice to have three of you sit and talk so freely about
Yeah.
each other. I shall close with this next one, right? Very briefly. What do you brothers have to say about your relationship, about your mother and father? They're sitting over here. Your mom is there. Your father is there. He's your father. He's your boss. He's your friend. He's your mentor. Tell me.
Okay, if I can take that. You're asking about the relationship that we share with our
with your
parents?
father and parent.
You see, we've always, from our perspective with my father, first of all, we've always looked at him as I would say I mean, of course, he's a perfectionist in every way, how he conducts himself personally and professionally. He has always been the person who has been like a disciplinarian, and guiding us whenever we stray away in the right path. And more so, I would say, professionally. And not that it wasn't in the personal sense, but in every way, our journey, in our professional journeys, whenever we stray or whatever. So our relationship with him is balanced, actually, I would say. And it has evolved over a period of time. As you grow up, when you have a father like our father, and you tend to grow in a certain way, and that's where the whole aspect of a boarding school also comes in. Discipline.
True.
I mean, it wasn't easy for my father and my mother to
live without you all.
To send us at the age of 6.
Yeah.
But they did it because they were thinking that
they were investing in your.
Absolutely, and they thought that they probably have to go through this hardship now to see us. I mean, it was very refreshing, obviously touching to hear what our father had to say about us. Also, that he wanted us to, perhaps he saw that this is where he wanted his children to be at some point. And now coming to my mother. Now my mother is the balancing aspect from a more emotional and family unity perspective. I for one, I would say that have a personal, emotional relationship with my mother because of my, I have asthma, so I really had moments in my youth that was with my mother, and a lot of hardships that I went with my mother. So that's the kind of relationship that I share, and I'm sure my brothers share the same with my mother too, which is I think evolved over a period of time, which is a good thing. And I think that relationship now has evolved to the extent that I feel that that my father, I can interact with him like a friend, something that would not be there. But this is how your relationships evolve.
So, do you want to say something?
I think I'd say, okay, I didn't get a chance to answer your previous question about my brothers, and then I'll probably just quickly touch upon. I think Rahul is emotionally and as a human being, he's a solid guy. I would like to say, in terms of solid, like even like he's correctly to a large extent said I'm very emotional. It was Rahul who always stood with that solid emotions, in the most difficult times. It was Rahul who always had that perseverance and that that patience, I would like to say as well, that brought out the disciplinary gentleman in like him. It became a huge support, and till date continues to be. Varun, I think he's a lot of times misunderstood, but again, what I would like to say is he's someone who is so pure from his heart. So pure from his
I
intent.
agree. Most Aquarians are. Your mother would.
So that's what I would like to say about both my brothers. I think my father, there could be no one who could be a greater well-wisher, a critic in a positive way, and an individual not only to us as sons, but to most people in our organization, who he has the ability of bringing out the best in them. I mean, his methods might be his own, but at the end of the day, everyone who has any short-term, mid-term, long-term association with him walks out of that becoming a much more better person, leader, manager, etc. So I think that gave us a massive, it's like they say life is like a grinding stone. It either wears you down or polishes you up depending on what you are made up of.
And your mom?
And that's what he's really molded us becoming. My mother is someone who, I mean, to me at least,
Look at her.
she is constantly pushing the boundary for us, you know. Sometimes you feel that, wow, I'm gonna, you know, tell my mom I did this, or my mom would have heard this. And I'm sure, I'm sure, knowing my mother, how she is, should be so, you know, in good things, be proud of us. But looking at her, she'll say, no, you can do better. No, you be careful of this. No, you know, she's always making us aware of some of the blind spots we might have in our life, some of the pitfalls we might go through. She's always going through an experience and telling us things which we would never think about. You know, things probably might not happen, but the fact she's already thinking and preempting that and preparing us for it, I think that's very special. You know.
Excellent.
Let's talk about my father first. One of the questions you asked him was, who are the people who's influenced him in terms of shaping maybe the group, or let's say influencing his ideas? He took the name of the Tata Group, JRD Tata, then he talked about Mohammed Yunus, Bill Gates. But for us, there has only been one. Like, there is no substitution, be it personally, be it professionally. And second thing, which this is not the first time he said, but he said it in multiple sessions, offline, online, that he wished that he could be born as his own son. So you can imagine that we are born as a son. And someone like him to probably hold our hand even till now and guide us, which probably will be a never-ending process. So having this sort of intimate and such a closely knit and watched format, I don't think so a lot of people are lucky enough. So I feel we all are blessed, and we must have done something good that we've been able to probably be his kids under his wings. As far as my mother goes, we were sent to boarding school at the age of 6. So the sacrifice I think she's made is also, which is unquantifiable. You know, on the hindsight, they think that it was the wrong decision of sending us to the boarding school at such a young age, but in our perspective, I think it was the best decision. It's probably...
So the investment's paying off.
Looks like.
So as we thank you, Varun. It's time to wrap up. Yeah, you know, thank you for having us over. Thank you for your time, for your courtesy. You're a most gracious host. Not the first time for me. I couldn't have asked for a better setting. Like I said when we started the show, where you started, Junjunu, Shekhawati, right? We're in Alcisa today sitting together. We're at about what? It's going to be 11 in the night. What a wonderful session. I'm delighted to have been able to spend time talking to you gentlemen, right? Your father who's legendary, and your mom who's watching, your wives, yeah. And they've been patient enough to go through this. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, right? Thank you for being here, Binodji.
Thank you.
Nirvan, Rahul.
And before you wrap up, let me take the liberty of really sharing my honest opinion about today's session. You know, something which is God sent. You know, under what circumstances we decided to move it here. And thank you so much for
it's always a
accepting our request to come here and be with us. But more importantly, I think this has been one of the most remarkable and emotionally fulfilling session together that I've ever been to. I don't know whether this will happen again, but this will always be treasured by the family, by the company, by the group for generations to come. I can tell you that.
Oh, absolutely.
And you are the architect of it.
Oh, I'm
So I want
hardly.
to
There's
thank
somebody
you.
else who's the architect. He just gets us to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.